Welcome back to Challenge Week. I'm so excited to hear about your breakthroughs. Definitely send me a DM on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski and let me know if you're enjoying Challenge Week. Before we get into the rest of the challenge lessons, I want to make sure that you have signed up to get the assignments that are delivered directly to your email inbox. You can do so at kristenkaczynski.com/challenge, or just check your show notes on your podcasting app and the link is right there in the show notes. But when you sign up with your email, I'm actually going to send you daily emails for each day of the challenge with things like journal prompts, little exercises that you can do to integrate some of the stuff that you're learning on each episode, and just a lot of stuff to really enhance your experience in the challenge. So I personally believe you are seriously missing out if you're not signed up for the daily assignments. You just learn and grow so much faster when you're able to be a more active participant, right? So it's one thing to listen to this podcast. It's a whole nother thing to actually integrate the stuff that you're learning and practice it in your day-to-day life. And the assignments I'm sending to you as part of this challenge are going to support you in starting to do that. So I really think it's to your benefit to sign up. And again, you can do so at kristenkaczynski.com/challenge. Hello, how are you? This is the challenge day 3 for the Become an Energetic Match for Soulmate high ticket clients. So today we're talking about detach or detachment work and why this is so freaking important for becoming an energetic match for soulmate clients and also for just manifestation in general. I mean, getting better at being able to detach from the outcome is something that is going to serve you in like every area of your life. A really good metaphor for detachment that I have heard is, kind of like comparing it to the breath. So when we are just like breathing normally and we're, not attached to like doing a certain breath pattern or something, it just feels really effortless, right? And the air always comes. Every time we inhale, the air always comes. But if we're trying to do more of like an intentional breath pattern and we're putting more like force behind it, then sometimes what can happen is it starts to feel more like we have to do more work in order to get the thing, right? So if we're so focused and if we're so attached to whatever it is we want to manifest, then we kind of like choke the manifestation. So being able to detach and let it breathe allows us to actually receive more. Okay, so we're talking about detachment. So why is detachment important? When we are too attached to something, I like to have this image in my mind. So I want you to think of if you've ever been to one of those like kind of like crappy New York City bathrooms, or if you've ever been to like a hole in the wall restaurant where they have like a crappy bathroom and then there's that like hook that you like hook into like the little circle to like lock the door or lock the stall door if it's like a stall bathroom. So I like to imagine like being attached to something in an unhealthy way as like being that hook that's hooked into that loop. So just imagine that image for a second. So it looks like this. There's like a metal hook and then there's a loop and that keeps the door locked. So if that's how you are, if you're in an unhealthy attachment, what will then happen is if you try to pull the manifestation in, it's not going to get any closer to you. In fact, it's going to not be able to go anywhere, right? Like you're kind of like impeding the manifestation from coming in because you're so attached to it, because you're so hooked into it. And it also works the other way. So even if there's clients out there that really want to come join your program, if you're too attached to certain leads and certain outcomes, then they actually can't go into your business, right? Because the hook that we're imagining is metal. So like the loop can't go closer to the hook. It's like there's like this big wall in between them and you just can't receive the manifestation. So hopefully that image was helpful. So when we think about like starting to detach, a lot of people think, how the fuck do I do that? Have you ever wondered like, how the fuck do I actually detach from things that I desire? And today, I'm going to take you through like a short little exercise that you did see in your email to support you in doing that. But before we get into the exercise, what I want you to understand is a lot of attachment a lot of unhealthy attachment that blocks the manifestation from coming in, blocks the clients from coming in. A lot of that is felt on the energetic level or on like the body level. It cannot be controlled by the mind. So if you've ever wondered, okay, I'm thinking that I'm detaching from the outcome, or like I'm thinking about how I'm detaching, or I'm going to write a journal entry about how I'm detaching from this client that I want to call in, and not gotten anywhere with that and still felt really attached and still not received the manifestation, that's because you can't do it on the level of the mind. You have to do it on the level of the body or the energy body. So the exercise in your email is like a preview of how to start doing that, but it is a lot easier to do it in more of a coaching container. So definitely try it on your own. But if you're struggling with it, I highly encourage you to join either Divine Feminine Sales or Expansion Mastermind. But let's go ahead and go into the exercise. So important note here, if you are driving or operating heavy machinery or in a dangerous place where you cannot close your eyes, then I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to not do this exercise with me. But if you are in a safe space where you are able to close your eyes, you're able to take some deep breaths and just focus on what you're doing, then I encourage you to follow along with me live. Otherwise, just watch the replay because we don't want any car accidents happening up in here, okay? All right, so what I want you to do now is I'm actually going to start to drop my energy down into my body, which means I'm going to kind of talk slower. And let's take 5 deep breaths together. One more. Good. And after you've taken those 5 deep breaths, you will probably have shifted from more of like a head space to more of a body space. So now this is the point where I would encourage you, if you'd like to close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. Or if you'd like to keep watching with eyes open, that's fine as well. Sometimes it's just easier to feel it with your eyes closed. So staying in the body, I want you to imagine unhooking from the mind and dropping right down into kind of like your body space, like your torso area. So maybe think from like the bottom of your throat down to about your root, and just bringing your awareness into that space. For some of you, it may be an easy transition. For some of you, if you're really disconnected from your body, it may be really challenging. But what I want you to do is really focus on feeling your body from the inside instead of going up to the mind and thinking, what am I feeling inside my body? I want you to drop down into the sensations itself, into the body itself, and feel from there. So for me, I have a little bit of like nervous butterflies because I'm on a live broadcast right now teaching. So I can feel that in my stomach area. My heart feels open and then also like it's being pinged. So I can kind of like feel, some of you that are here live, I can kind of feel your energy hitting my heart. And I also feel like a sense of groundedness in my root. So there's a couple different things going on for me, but all I want you to do is notice whatever sensations are going on for you. So once you just kind of have a lay of the land of what's going on in your body, what I want you to do now is think of something that you know you're attached to. So some sort of unhealthy attachment to something that you want to call in. So for me, what am I attached to right now? Let's see. I am attached to a certain income milestone that I would like to reach. So maybe that's the same thing for you. Maybe you're trying to reach a 10K month for the first time. Or maybe you're trying to sign a specific client. Like there's a specific lead where you're like, I really want to sign this lead. I really want to work with this person. Whatever it is that you feel that unhealthy attachment to, go ahead and kind of like bring that up in your body and ask yourself, okay, where do I feel the attachment in my body? So I'm going to kind of drop in for a second. So I feel the attachment for myself for this income goal that I am detaching from. I feel it kind of in my like my sacral, which is interesting. I don't know if I've ever been attached there, but there's some attachment like in my lower belly area. And if you're like, how do I know where I feel attached to something? It's a sensation, right? It's gonna feel like either like a pulling or like a hooking into something, kind of like that image we talked about earlier. It's gonna feel maybe like an emptiness, like maybe you'll feel like there's a hole in the spot where you're attached to something in an unhealthy way. Or maybe it'll feel just like a negative feeling of some sort. So it's going to be a sensation that you're going to feel. And for me, it's kind of like, what does it feel like? It kind of feels like a sinking feeling in my sacral. So that's interesting. I've never felt that before either when it came to attachment, but we're available for it. So what I'm going to do now and what you're going to do now is you're going to see if you can kind of like picture the thing that you're attached to and then the connection with your body. So if you're visualizing this, if your eyes are closed, you can actually visualize seeing the money milestone or seeing the client that you want to sign right in front of you. And then just notice how you're attached to that with that part on your body that you feel the attachment in. So I'm going to drop in again and see what's going on in my system. That's interesting. So it's kind of like, it feels kind of like quicksand. Like the money milestone that I want to call in is like sinking in like quicksand instead of just like gently floating into me in a healthy way. So what I want you to do now is if you're experiencing quicksand in your stomach like I am, I want you to just like fill that hole with like love or affection or nourishment or whatever it is that you feel like that part of you needs. So I'm actually going to drop in and ask this part, okay, what do you need to not feel like quicksand? If you're not feeling quicksand, if you're feeling more of like a hook or like a string or like a cord or something like that, then I want you to imagine like unhooking or cutting the cord or cutting the string. So you're essentially going to do the antidote to whatever the sensation is. And this is energetic stuff, right? So if you're like, this is kind of weird, I don't know what's going on. It's because we're doing some energy work today and it is a little bit different than like what your brain might be used to, which is why I said at the beginning, like there's different levels of understanding. And if you just stay up in the headspace, you're not going to get the deeper transformation. So I'm going to drop in and see if I can fill up my little quicksand hole in my lower belly. And then the answer, I do this a lot, so the answers come really quick, but for you, it might be slower. But the answer that came for me when I said, okay, what does this part of me need? It said validation, right? So now I know I have a deeper awareness that I'm not attached to this thing because it is actually something that I need, right? I'm attached to it because there's a part of me, not the whole me, not my higher self, not my soul, but there's a younger, vulnerable part of me that thinks it won't be validated if it doesn't get the thing. So it's like really attached to it because it's like, I want validation. I want validation. I want validation. So it's like reaching for it, almost like an infant might reach for its mother, right? And that's where it comes from. It comes from like infancy and patterns that were imprinted on us in childhood.
Okay, listen up because this is huge. Okay, so I've never done this before, but I wanted to just kind of like shake things up during challenge week and just basically have like a whole freaking party on the podcast during challenge week. So I have a free gift for you, and it's super easy for you to receive this free gift. Here's all you have to do. But first, let me tell you what the gift is. So if you do what I'm about to say, you will get a secret coupon code to Divine Feminine Sales Preview, which includes everything inside of Module 1. So if you've been hearing my ads about the Divine Feminine Sales Module 1 $55 offer, I'm actually going to give you a coupon code for 100% off so you can access Module 1 completely free. In that Module 1, you get my offer creation framework, which is going to support you in creating amazing offers that are super clear to both you and your soulmate clients. and will allow you to shift into alignment to attract those soulmate clients. So it's a super juicy free gift. I'm going to give you that secret coupon code if you do this. All you have to do is rate and review the podcast. Take a screenshot before you hit that submit button, and then send me a DM on Instagram with the screenshot. And remember, I'm at Kristen Kaczynski on Instagram. Now, if you're listening to this podcast during Challenge Week, what are you waiting for? Do it right now. You can do it while I'm still talking in this advertisement. However, if you're listening to this after Challenge Week, maybe a month from now, maybe a year from now, if you found the podcast after I ran these episodes, here's what I want you to know. I will still give you some sort of free gift if you rate and review the podcast and screenshot that review and DM it to me on Instagram. I can't promise it'll be Divine Feminine Sales Module 1 because, marketing and offer suites and all the things we do on the back end, that changes year over year sometimes. But I promise I will have some sort of free gift for you if you rate and review and send me your review. So do me a favor, rate and review the podcast. It really helps the show reach more people. It helps more people experience their own soul expansion. And if you've gotten something positive out of this show, saying even just like a couple of sentences, taking like 2 minutes to write the review, it dramatically helps the podcast reach more people, which means I get to help more people and you get to be a part of that impact. And I want to reward you for that. So go ahead and write your review, take a screenshot, DM it to me on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski, and I will have your secret coupon code for Divine Feminine Sales Module 1. Or if you're listening to this at some point in the future, some other free gift will be waiting for you in my DMs. What are you waiting for? Do it now. Thank you. I love you so, so, so much. And now let's get back to the show.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to soothe this part. And for me, it needed validation. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to validate it. So if you're also experiencing a need for validation, what you might say, and this would be personal to you, but I'm just going to use what is working for me or what's coming up for me. But what you might say is, Kristen, I am so fucking proud of you already. You are already a massive success. You've invested so much in yourself. You've gone through so much personal transformation. The work you do is incredible and people everywhere can witness it. Ooh, that's powerful. It immediately started to soothe that part. And I never speak this out loud. So that was kind of an interesting experiment for me to actually say it out loud for you guys and for myself. So maybe try speaking it out loud because maybe that lets that younger part kind of tune into the medicine that you're giving it a little bit faster. That was pretty much the exercise. So again, taking deep breaths, dropping into the body, tuning into just any general sensations first, just getting the lay of the land. Asking yourself, okay, where in my body am I attached to XYZ? Pulling up the thing that you're attached to, doing your little energetic magic, soothing the younger part, and then you're detached. And what's interesting about this exercise is the first time I walked myself through it, I realized I was attached to damn near everything. I was attached to so many things in my life. And when I actually, the first time I did it, it was hooks. It was those metal hooks that I described. When I actually unhooked all of those hooks, I went to bed and took a 3-hour nap. I can't even describe how exhausted I was. And so that just puts it into perspective. When you're attached to something, you're giving your energy away to the thing, right? Quite literally, you're giving your energy away. And so when I finally detached from all the things I was hooked into, and this was several months ago, it was my body felt okay, now we can finally rest. And then I rested. And then I came back and I was wow, I have so much freaking energy. I actually was tagged in a recent post by a podcaster. Let me just look up her name. She has 2.2 million downloads. So she's a big ass podcaster, which is amazing. On Air with Ella. So someone in my audience, in my podcast audience, recommended me to her as an up and coming podcast that they're loving, which is just I couldn't have predicted that. right? Like I couldn't have predicted that a podcaster with 2.2 million downloads would tag my podcast in this post and that someone in my podcast audience would tell her about my podcast. And like, just think of all the opportunities that can possibly come from that. I could potentially be on this woman's podcast if she listens to my show and she hears something in my story that resonates with her or her audience. Or if nothing else, maybe she'll become a fan of my show and she'll share my show with her audience, which 2.2 million downloads, that's a pretty big audience, right? So it's shit like that that starts to fall into place and starts to unfold when we know how to be in alignment and when we remember how to intentionally manifest. Like, the path is not predictable. The path is not what all the strategy coaches are telling you it is, where it's like you DM 5 people, you get this many. I mean, you can do that if you want to force and struggle and be in a world of hurt to grow your business. I don't want to do that. I want things to fall out of the sky for me, like this podcast opportunity. And that's what's possible when we do the unlearning and the remembering. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for honoring your soul's calling today and taking the time to listen to this episode of the Soul Expansion Podcast. If you have a question you'd like featured or have a topic idea, I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski and send me a DM with your request. Remember, you are a truly limitless being. The limits you see now are only an illusion. Whatever it is that you desire, that's already yours. It already exists in the universe here and now. You simply have to awaken to what you already have. And I hope this episode brought you a little closer to that truth. If you love this episode and would like to give from your heart and appreciation, please take a few moments to screenshot it and tag me in your stories on Instagram, or write a brief review on your favorite podcast platform. Your voice truly matters, and your feedback helps to spread abundant expansion to a broader audience. And what a gift that is, right? Just think about how much abundance will come back to you if you help a friend experience their own soul expansion. And with that, I just want to say thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, I'm Kristen Kaczynski, and I love you.